edition of In Conversation. Today we have with us Mr. Sanjay Shesh. He is a very well-known figure in the shipping and maritime industry. And today he's going to give us an insight into the Harrison assessments. Here is a brief introduction about his achievements. A highly experienced maritime professional with over 35 years of experience in the maritime industry, which has included employing more than 15,000 people, establishing 3 companies in India and 2 companies in Hong Kong, among many other notable achievements. During his journey in the maritime industry, he started realizing the ways that he can contribute more. He is not only employing people but believes in improving the understanding and effective allocation of human resources. Mr. Shesh has headed fleet management in India, where he has seen the growth of the company from 7 ships to 150 ships, during which he has been responsible for hiring over 10,000 people. He has also been the managing director of the company, where he had seen direct losses because of the incompetencies noticed in some seafarers. Mr. Shesh has developed himself as a life and transformation coach, and he has now partnered with Harrison Assessments, whereby he has been given exclusivity to use the Harrison Assessments for the shipping industry. He is a professionally certified coach from International Coaching Federation, a neuro leadership coach from Neuro Leadership Institute, a Harrison Assessment certified assessor and coach, and has done virtual coaching by Dale Carnegie. He has done over 1,000 hours of coaching, benefiting many professionals in the industry.
So, welcome to our show.
Thank you very much for such kind and generous words that Kavita spoke about me. You all are always generous with your kind words. So, thank you very much. It was a very nice introduction.
So, you truly deserve it, sir. You have achieved it. So,
again, your kind words, Mr. Mishra. I mean, I've known you for a very long time, and your kind words always precede you.
Sir, can you please tell us about Harrison Assessment?
Okay, excellent. Captain Mishra, let me explain you Harrison Assessment and why it is there. This particular tool, Harrison Assessment, actually requires no introduction. Dr. Harrison, who is a PhD in organizational psychology, he started this Harrison Assessment around 30 years back. In fact, he is not only the founder of the company Harrison Assessment, he is also the developer himself. So he has based it purely on his study and experience. He is a very, very qualified psychologist. He has based this assessment on his 30 years of experience and developed it over these 30 years. And mind you, the beauty of Harrison Assessment is that it collects data from around 50 countries, which it has its establishment in. And Harrison Assessment today is the top 2 assessment tools, personality or behavior assessment tools. And it is recognized by practically every developed country, and now they are moving into developing countries. It so happened that I somehow got in touch with the company, Harrison Assessment, and I realized that shipping as an industry was not, using these kind of tools to actually understand behaviors and traits. But before I talk about behaviors and traits, let me give you something very interesting about Harrison Assessment. Normally, we make all our selections or all our judgments about people based on the eligibility of people. And the entire education dollar that is spent by our parents, and our contribution of our teachers in our lives, it's all about our eligibility, building up our eligibility. But somewhere down the line, our success, our endurance to stay within a very tough environment like shipping is totally there only because we are suitable for it.
Wow.
Even in case of a marriage, you may be an eligible bachelor, you may get married, but somewhere down the line, your marriage works only if you're suitable. The match works. Similarly, Harrison Assessment works on the behaviors and traits of a person. So eligibility can get you a job, but somewhere down the line, what keeps you in your job and makes you successful is basically your suitability. So Harrison Assessment basically is a measure of the behaviors traits, and your preferences. And like any other tool, it does not put you in personality boxes. It gives you a range. You may have certain good points, you may have certain bad points. But what is your suitability towards what is required out of you is what Harrison assessment tells you about a particular individual. And the beauty is that whatever reports that are generated after using the Harrison assessment tool, it is available to the employer as well as the person who's being employed. So both are aware of the strengths and weaknesses, preferences, and some susceptible points where somebody can go wrong. So not only is an individual required to work on that particular, I weakness is something which I don't like to use that word. Some sort of a shortcoming, which everybody can work together and make his employment within that organization very successful.
Oh, that's an eye-opener. So that is basically the kind of purpose that we are looking for.
Absolutely. The purpose is to identify behaviors and traits of an individual. Eligibility is what you advertise in newspaper, that you require so many years of experience, he should be relevant experience, and etc. etc. So eligibility is something which can get you 5 people within a room. But within the 5 people, when you select a person, you probe into his past and his behaviors, and basically you look for a suitability of a person. These interviews can be made much easier and much more result oriented if you have a Harrison assessment report lying in front of both the interviewer and the interviewee.
So here I would like to ask you one thing important. How it is different from other general assessment reports?
Well, like I said, in all the reports, in most of the assessment tools, they try to find out what kind of personality do you have. Whereas Harrison assessment does not believe in branding you of a particular personality.
Oh, that's great.
It actually gets you, or it tests you on 12 paradoxes. And these 12 paradoxes are basically, clubbed by under various topics. One is interpersonal. One stage is interpersonal. How do you handle yourself on an interpersonal basis? Then what are your achievements? How do you handle your achievements? Getting achievements is fantastic, but handling achievements is also a way of showing your behavior and personal traits. And then you are also pegged against what kind of leadership qualities do you possess? Can they be developed in the future? And under that, there are stages. Under interpersonal skills, achievements, and leadership, initially we talk about initiating the whole process. Then it is motivating, then it is implementing, and then it is maintaining. So within this framework, we have various paradoxes, or not various exactly, we can say 12 paradoxes, which is an opinions paradox, a decision approach paradox, a strategic paradox, somebody's thinking about his own self-belief. A paradox is there on that. I'll give you an example of opinion. I mean, an opinion of a person can be very certain, or he can be very open and reflective. You cannot brand a personality as an open, reflective personality or a very aggressive and certain personality. Every person ranges between these two places. And where does he range? These are beautifully and graphically represented in our reports out here. So, Harrison assessment is basically this paradox report, which Dr. Dan Harrison has come out with. Honestly, when I did a Harrison assessment on myself, not only was, that report of mine, that it was able to tell me what exactly and how I should design my future, but I was so inspired that I actually went on to get a partnership with these people. And I realized that shipping industry does not have such a quality tool. And somehow my involvement with shipping industry has been quite a lot, like the way Kavita introduced me. I mean, I've been with the shipping industry for the last 35 years. So they were also impressed with my involvement in the shipping industry. So I have now become a partner with Harrison Assessment, and they have given me exclusivity in the shipping industry, whereby I and my company, which is called Neptune Excellence, we will be able to actually, administer this test on seafarers as an individual. And if the organizations invite us, we would be happy to do the tests on the organizations also.
So that brings me to another question.
Yeah.
And with such a vast experience that you have, I'll just take two cases here. One, I just assume I'm a technical superintendent working, let's say, with some ship management company or a crew management company, or maybe I'm working for the commercial management of some company, and there I'm a chartering manager. So just two examples. Very quickly, I would like to ask you, how is it going to benefit, let's say, the employee and the employer? Case number one, assuming I'm a technical superintendent and I'm going to join a ship management company. And number two, I'm joining as a chartering manager.
Fantastic. So let's talk about technical superintendent. First, how does a company decide whether they have so many chief engineers who are working on board? They may have an eligibility criteria of, say, 3 years. That 3 years, if you have worked as a chief engineer, we will make you a superintendent. But the moment you land up in the office, you have to handle people of equal qualifications who are working on board the vessels. Now, there are certain traits that you need to develop, or you need to identify within yourself whether you have those traits. Do you have the leadership quality? Do you have an open reflective behavior? Do you have a behavior which accepts other people's opinion very openly? Do you have a behavior whereby you can provide? Now you are a superintendent, you are the boss. Do you have the capability of respecting the chief engineers who are on board the vessel, taking their opinion, considering them also as leaders, considering them also as people who can solve problems, and give them the respect so that they can perform? Now, these are the things that a person may be able to identify as his strengths or weaknesses. I can tell you one thing: selecting a superintendent will become relatively very easy if a company has a Harrison assessment report in front of them.
Okay.
And a superintendent also, if he has his own Harrison assessment report, he will know what are the behaviors and traits that he needs to develop in order to be successful in his job. Now, with regards to the commercial part of it, I can tell you one thing: a commercial manager has to have a lot of behaviors which he needs to acquire after being a master on a ship. Being a master on a ship, somewhere down the line, you are a person who's the law on the ship. Whatever you say has to be followed. Of course, you can be very accommodative about people's idea, but finally, you have to take a decision which everybody on the ship follows. The moment you land up in the office as a commercial manager, the structures change. Now the horizon is totally open for you. The whole industry is your benchmark which you are competing against, right? And you need to create an identity of your own which is unique and it is different from others so that you can succeed in your job. First, you have to blend into the structure that has been provided by the company. Two, you have to understand all the things that are there and respect the structure which is there, which is quite open-ended as compared to life out at sea. There are things which are very ambiguous when you come ashore, especially for a commercial manager or a commercial executive who is going to deal with lots of customers with different kind of personalities and different kind of situations. Negotiations is something that you need to really develop. And in negotiations, if you give in to every demand of your customer, then you may not survive in your job. So now to develop a behavior where you become slightly aggressive but still remain humble, these are the things which can be identified by this Harrison assessment. And trust me, I encourage organizations, especially shipping, to blend, to create teamwork, to acquire talent, to retain talent. All these things are possible if you have a person's behavior and traits report in front of you.
So that actually leads me to one more question.
Yes,
Now,
please.
when we recruit, let's say, top four positions, right? You have chief engineers, you have second engineers, you have masters, chief officer. Do you think if uh, their assessment report also, Harrison assessment report also is done, it will benefit the employers, and how?
Absolutely. I mean, Captain Mishra, you must have got it very clear by now. I am giving importance. So eligibility is extremely important. I mean, and that is very nicely structured by either by the ISM of a particular company or by the IMO or by various flag requirements. Now, to put suitability, you may have done 3 years as a chief officer to become a master. But are you suitable? Are you there capable of taking care of pressure situation without getting angry? Is what Harrison assessment will tell you.
Wow,
So
that's really
the
great.
whole idea is to understand the concept of suitability and just marry it with the eligibility criteria and get the best so that you can actually save a lot of disasters in future.
So that another actually that leads me to another question. How these reports help in higher employee job satisfaction? As you know, these days there are lots of reports actually, and there are so many articles coming how you achieve the best employee satisfaction in your organization, and that also actually leads to better retention in the companies. So I will like to have this particular thing covered by.
Harrison assessment report has a very beautiful section in it. That what are your preferences? It identifies behaviors, traits, and preferences. So if you know your employee's preferences in what are the areas where he prefers to be when he's working, and if you can find a good balance between your company structure and his preferences, it will only lead to employee satisfaction. And a satisfied employee within an organization gives a phenomenal brand image to the organization itself.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for this wonderful answer. But again, I wish to ask you so many questions actually on this. So one more here. So we have seen a spate of accidents in the last few years. We have seen the ships grounding. And the reasons have been enormous. Actually, we have seen the vessels going aground. We have seen fires. People are overstressed. We have COVID-19 situations. How could the companies benefit with this kind of assessment if they had all these reports in hand? Do you think they will benefit?
Okay, so beautiful. I mean, Captain, you always ask beautiful questions. I can tell you that. Now, let me explain you. There is a report in Harrison assessment whereby in a personality, you are either very assertive that my point is what my point is, or you're a very helpful person by nature. Now, when you're a very helpful person by nature, there is always a very thin line that you may start doing other people's job and missing out on your own deadlines. So if you are overly helpful and you land up doing other people's job and you don't have the ability to say no, the only thing that happens is by way of helping others, you tend to become stressed. Tend to become fatigued, and this leads to accidents on both vessels. So somewhere down the line, Harrison assessment, in case it can identify that you don't have the ability to say no, and you keep helping people and you don't want to hurt them, and because of which, and there are times when you have a very strong point of view about what is correct on board the vessel. There are times when you like to say things which your bosses want to listen. Because if you say the wrong thing, they are going to shout at you. So you might as well say what they like to listen. So if you can, at that point of time, be assertive without losing your helpful personality and create a nice balance, trust me, it will help you to communicate better with the management of the ships that, look, my friend, my ship has got a problem and I need your help in order to solve it. If you are a helpful personality, you keep doing things without informing the company properly, and you may lead to an accident. So transparency is something that can be built up. If the company also has my report and I also have my report, I know that this guy is a very helpful kind of a person. He may not come up with the exact situation on board the vessel. So the superintendent or the management in the company will probe him and calm him down and say, look, my friend, nothing will happen to you. Tell me what is exactly wrong so that we can provide you with the right kind of help. So,
thank you very much, sir. This is a very, very good. I'm really convinced. Thank you very much for your valuable time, sir. We had asked you a lot of questions and a range of questions. It has been a pleasure talking to you, sir. And I'm very sure the audience also, they will benefit a lot from Harrison assessment reports. Thank you very much for being on our show, sir.
You're most welcome, and thank you very much, Captain Viren Mishra and Shipping Tribune.